Oh, yeah, I got props and everything. I'll get to those props in a second. Welcome back to By the Wayside, the show where I get to introduce you to creative people. On this episode, I have two special guests. What am I talking about? Jeff Penn and Alex Young, hosts and co-hosts of the podcast Deep Cuts the Game, the podcast. Don't go anywhere because this is the opening credits. Theme song. Oh, welcome back. I'm Jordan Middlebrook, the host of By the Way, this show, By the Wayside. One of the greatest things about the show is that I don't cut anything. Typically, don't cut anything. And even though I said by the way, I'm going to keep that in because it just shows that I am still a human being at heart. So you may be asking, Jordan, what are you doing? Well, I'm playing on my Wavebird for my Nintendo GameCube, and I'm going to hold it up like so that my photographer, Katrina's here today. Again, everybody, I know everyone loves it when Katrina's on the show. Well, she's not on the show, she's in the background, but she's taking a photo of me right now, holding my Wavebird, and as I put my Wavebird down, you know that she has done taking the photo, so in case anyone's ever curious. The reason why I brought this, the Wavebird, is because today is a very movie-centric episode with the hosts of Deep Cuts the Game. It's a movie podcast, and we're going to talk to Jeff and Alex a little later in this episode. But I wanted to talk about video games because it's the beginning of October, and I wanted to talk about video games that actually scared me. And I have them right here. So 2 video games that have scared me in the past. So the reason why it's a GameCube is because Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, scared the jumpin' Jeepers out of me. I don't know what jumpin' Jeepers is. Jumpin' Justin Bieber's. It scared me. There's a scene in this, and I remember my buddy Sam, he was just like, I heard you yell. Yeah, this made me jump. There was a specific spot in this game that made me jump, and it is still an amazing game, and Famke Janssen should play the lead, and there we go, in this movie. So the other game is my friend Chuck was kind enough to, anyway, PlayStation 4 or whatever. This zombie game, Days Gone, there was a scene where you get off your motorcycle and you go through like a tunnel, and a zombie jumped out at me, and when I was playing the game on the PS4, I had headphones on. And my wife was in the room, and I went, ah! And I jumped, so she didn't know what I was talking about or screaming about. She just looked over at me like, Jordan, why are you so dumb? And the answer is because, well, I'm dumb. So because it's a heavy movie-centric episode today, I also thought that it'd be cool to talk about scary movies that I think are cool or underrated or something that people really need to give a shot to. And I know Omar from Wayside Comics, the owner-operator of Wayside Comics, where we are right now, is always showing movies on the TV that's just over here, or if you want to engage him in conversation about, just movies that he likes. He's a big horror movie guy, and it's really fun to talk to him about movies. He's recommended a couple to me. My sister and I, we have an affiliation for horror movies. Sometimes on my Letterboxd account, I'll type about a movie I watched, and then she'll watch that. And it goes in this full circle motion where I like movies. So let's talk about 2 movies that I think are underrated or very awesome. And one is Peter Jackson's The Frighteners. These are actually my DVDs that I have. This movie is absolutely excellent, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because anything with Michael Jackson in the lead, Michael Jackson. It's a real shame that I said Michael Jackson and not Michael J. Fox. I think the J really threw me off. And I don't know if you heard my sister Katrina laughing at me in the background, so I feel kind of dumb. This is a great movie. You need to watch it. Jake Busey as the bad guy. Spoiler alert. Great movie. Very great movie. And the other movie that kind of gets a lot of hate, but is actually like low-key super awesome, it's House of Wax. So this is the remake House of Wax that came out in, I was going to guess what it was. I don't have my glasses on. Yes, I need glasses. If there's any optometrists out there watching this show By the Wayside and want to sponsor me, that would be super great. I'll give you a 30-second ad on every episode for the rest of 2024. Did you IMDb it? I love having some research in the background. Omar showed up just as I was talking about horror movies. Omar, when you come on for an Omar Recommends a little later, I'm going to recommend Nope, I did it again. I'm going to recommend The Frighteners to you. All right? House of Wax, great movie, by the way, Omar, in case you haven't seen it. I know you've seen it, probably the original and the remake. Jared Padalecki. It's a great movie. It's an absolutely great movie. one of my top five favorite films of all time is the very first Nightmare on Elm Street. It has absolutely everything. I believe it was one of the first horror movies I ever saw. So back when this box set came out, so this is the Nightmare on Elm Street collection, the New Line collection. I had to buy this. So this probably came out at the end of probably early 2000s. And this has every single original Freddy Krueger movie, including the 3D one. Now, the 3D one does exist. So I didn't prepare this because I wasn't going to talk. This envelope, ladies and gentlemen, actually contains the 3D glasses that you're supposed to watch the movie with. And it is very weird to watch a 3D movie on an 8K Samsung television because, like, how does this work? And it's one of those weird things when this movie came out, when the Freddy, what was it? I think it was Freddy's Back. Was the 3D one?
Freddy's Dead.
Was it Freddy's Dead with his daughter? It's one with the school bus, right? The school bus dream at the beginning. And there's all the Freddy's like, I'm gonna get you. Like, it's the very terrible like 3D stuff. And he's just like, my pretty or whatever. And she like stabs Freddy with a knife or something. And it's just the terrible blatant use of 3D. And of course, James Cameron, made it the best when he decided to take 3D to the next level. This is old school, baby. I remember watching Spy Kids 3D. I went to the theater and saw it with these glasses. So you know that I am a legit 3D movie watching guy. I'm holding still because in the background there's a lot of people taking photos and or videos. I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Very movie-centric episode today. I'm very excited for you to sit and hear about one of my favorite podcasts and two really awesome guys, Jeff Penn, Alex Young. They're going to be on this episode. So sit right there because we are going to be talking to them right after this. Fun. But now that I'm doing this, I got a feeling this is going to be the new thing.
It feels real. And then,
It does feel real. I might have to change the camera for the next episode because I think I look a little...
Yeah, the looking down is never a great...
Now we're really getting into it. All right. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. I, of course, am your host, Jordan Middlebrook, dressed super nice. I know I talked about it earlier. With me today on the couch, actually, I kind of like this too. I can get my arm up a little bit better on the couch today. Host and co-host? How do you guys, would you prefer? Hosts or host and co-host? Oh,
it might start a little battle here, but I think it's...
We do host and co-host because you have very little else going on in your life. So I'll be co-host. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna...
this is like your one thing.
I'm making note of every time he says something mean about me, just so at the end they'll be like, why did you lay into him for 5 minutes? I'll be like, he said 12 things that were just... yeah, I mean, as he's kind of introduced on the show, I'm your host, Jeff Penn, and with me as always, my co-host,
okay,
Alex Young.
Okay, I really should have done that before.
But no, that's fine.
Right.
He's
host and co-host of Deep Cuts the Game, the podcast. That's a long one. I really should have vetted all of this before we started. Jeff Penn, Alex Young, thank you very much for coming in today. I really appreciate it. You are one of the luckiest. I know that off camera, Omar had said you were the first guest to get your hands on one of the hot chocolates from here at Wayside Comics in Newmarket. Out of 10, what do you give it?
Oh.
On camera, I'm really putting you on the spot. Just say 10, make us all happy.
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, it's like...
You're my guest.
It's like an 11 out of 10.
Okay, I love it. I will always...
Making it seem like it's a lie. You really enjoyed it off camera.
Before I start asking you all the really poignant questions that I've spent all of my journalistic time in writing down on my really professional cue cards, can you explain the game itself? Deep Cuts, the game. Can you explain it?
I guess I'll just do my intro. It's I get 3 guests, my co-host and 2 other guests. I give them 3 movies. I ask for if they can remember the most random, obscure, or minor actors from those films. The deeper the cut, the more points they get. So I think the example we often use is Back to the Future 2. Michael J. Fox, 1 point. Christopher Lloyd, 2. But if you can remember Elijah Wood playing video games in the background there, that's worth 20 points.
Oh, okay.
So it's just kind of to get people to kind of talk about some of our favorite movies and remember that, oh, that guy was this guy and that guy, and the things you kind of forgotten about, maybe because you haven't watched Back to the Future 2 since 1991 or something like that.
Okay,
right?
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the game.
That's it. Okay. Thanks, guys, for coming in. On the next segment, it's a really fun game because when I reached out to ask you guys to be on my show, I play along with it. I'm a movie guy, so I just like really enjoy movie podcasts. And all of a sudden, this podcast, I think I typed in movie podcast, and that was the first one that came up. And then someone had said within the first 5 episodes, no, I'm sorry, one of the guests was local.
Okay,
And
because I was going to say, where was it Fred?
Wasn't the Fred Kennedy episode.
Okay.
I was listening to it long before the Fred
okay,
Kennedy
perfect.
episode, yes. That was just a bonus that friend of the show, Fred Kennedy, happened to be on it.
Yes.
Right.
And then we all know that the best episode was the one that I was on. So
Yeah, people write in all the time. They're like, when's that guy coming back? He was great.
they keep asking me too. They say, when are you going to be back on Deep Cuts, the game, the podcast? And I say, we'll get around to
Yeah,
it.
it's only been 2 episodes since you were on the show. It would feel a little quick if we brought you back immediately after.
I had heard through the bickering before the camera started that there is room for a co-host. Sorry, Alex.
That's true. Yeah, no,
For a new
the
co-host.
co-host is very much.
Yeah, I don't need a second. I need
A new
new co-host.
co-host. So tell me the origins of the game then.
Long story short.
We have all the time in the world.
Oh, okay.
That's not true.
Great. No, so I don't know. Sometime last year, I took it upon myself that I was going to try to watch every movie that was on the IMDb top 250 movies of all time. And
You're a really busy guy.
I had a lot going on in my life. Didn't have a podcast to keep me busy, so I was just watching the movies. And I don't know where it is on that number, but I came across the movie Interstellar.
Yep.
Which I think I'd seen probably twice at that point. You know, loved it more. Watched it the third time, and that time really kind of I think I understood what was happening in it. But so that gave me time to kind of look at everyone who was in that movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, that guy, this guy, and I had also been watching a lot of other older movies. So like I think like William Devane is in Interstellar for 35 seconds,
Okay.
and I was like, why is William Devane in this movie? And then I kind of went through it, and I was like, there's like 20 people who were maybe A-listers at one point in their life.
1 point, yeah.
So I came in the next day to work at a place we used to work. I used to work, someone still works there, with the list, and I got Alex and 2 other people. And
Craig, who've also been on.
they've been on the show, Jagar and Craig. They're the original OG Deep Cuts players. And I just was like, hey guys, I got a game. I don't think we even had a name for it yet.
No.
And we just went through it. And they were like, that's fun. So we did it again the next day and the next day. And then
I just want to interrupt and quickly say that I won that first game.
he did. He did.
Even though Craig Smeaton was playing, who regularly wins our game, I did beat Craig the first time.
And now, to be fair,
I had on that one.
Craig had never seen the movie and
he
still
did
came in
really
second.
well.
So yeah, so we just kind of started doing it every week, and then it kind of evolved into not just one movie, but 3 movies. And then we would play it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the points got higher and higher, kind of like a Family Feud thing where the points doubled the next round and then they tripled.
Which was mostly because Jagar, our friend, did really badly often.
Yeah,
So it was a pity point.
it would be like 60 to 45 to 12. And we're like, oh,
Still maybe win.
yeah, if he won on Wednesday, he'd come back. And then, yeah. So yeah, that's just kind of how it is. It was just really something to kind of like break up the afternoon at work, and just give us something to. And then other people would kind of join in every once in a while. They kind of watch.
And then we closed it with flash frames.
Yeah, and then we started doing this other little game called Flash Frames, where it was like 60 seconds on the clock, 6 movies, and just rapid fire.
And I know that a little later in this episode, we're going to be talking about flash frames.
Very
and
excited.
quite potentially playing with each other. A lot of people don't know right now, but we have an audience. And so when I went to make that joke about us,
You forgot that one of the audience members
they're not paying attention.
was a small child.
When I made that joke about us playing with each other, I had to really watch what I said. So I'm very excited about the audience, and I'm very excited about having multi levels of age here because I really have to rein it in a little bit. Very excited about
I should have asked this before we started.
Yes.
Is this a family-friendly podcast? Should I watch my language on this one?
The only person that I have ever beeped out was myself.
Amazing.
So
I'll do my best.
Have
but
fun.
Sometimes I get too excited and I say the swears. So
That's all right. I'm not offended, and if people don't like it, they can turn the channel.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. Thank you.
There's a lot of other options there.
Yes. If you want to watch another show about creative people, I'm pretty sure you can find it. So the game itself started at your work at the time. Did your job inspire it other than just sitting down watching the movie?
No. I mean, we both work in media, but I don't think. I mean, I don't love movies because I work in TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I love movies because I love movies.
That's fair.
But it is weird, like having worked at other places with other people who say aren't in media, and when you talk about a movie or a TV show, and they're like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
Okay,
it is
yeah.
weird. Like if you go work at like an insurance company or something like that, and you just mentioned like a basic movie. Like I think a couple weeks ago I mentioned the movie Hereditary to
Yeah.
someone, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I understand maybe not everyone has seen Hereditary, but it's kind of famous for some stuff.
I mean, there's like MCU movies I expect people to see, and then there's A24 folk horror movies. That
Sure.
are like, oh, you didn't see that one?
Sure, but I got like
enough.
five people looking at me like never heard of it, and I was like, I can't be here.
The sledgehammer scene in Midsommar, you haven't seen that yet? My goodness, we really need to watch it. And with all the young people in the audience, we're going to be putting up an episode. We're going to be putting up Midsommar. We're going to be sitting there for 3 hours, and we're going to watch it. And I apologize for the trauma.
For everything that's
cause
going to
you.
happen.
Yeah. I apologize. I apologize. It's all in daylight, though, so you're all good.
Except for in the director's cut, there's one scene at night. Weirdly enough, and it is very jarring, so I see why it was cut out. But there's some nice scenes in there. Anyway, it expands the relationship between Florence Pugh's character and her boyfriend a lot.
Oh, okay.
In the director's cut. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I really love that movie.
It's a good movie.
It's terrific. Side note, since we're talking Midsommar.
Side note on the side note.
Side note
So
on my own tangent.
Yes.
I saw it theatrically when it came out on a date with a girl who did want to see it. Like, it wasn't like a random, like, we should go see this. It seems like a fun date movie. She was a movie gal. And we went, and it ended. I'm like, I gotta go home. She's like, me too. Bye.
Separate ways.
Separate. And we didn't talk for like 3 days. It was a very much like killed the vibe of.
I could see
anything.
that.
Yeah, the movie really shuts
It's
you
not a
down.
good date movie, Alex.
You know what? You're right. You should tell all your friends in insurance profession.
Alex, I'm going to tell you a really funny side note on top of your second side note. Assistant / producer / helper, my sister, insurance broker.
I mean,
So everything seems to be really
This circles back.
full circle
Yeah,
today. I
perfect.
really am quite enjoying it. How the game started, what the game is. Let's take a quick dive away from Midsommar and Interstellar, two single-titled movies, which I find actually quite interesting now. Let's talk about our favorite current movies. I think that everyone always they have a list of top 5 favorite movies. They have their favorite movies of all time. But when someone wants to sit down and they say, I'm just going to watch that movie that I really like. Maybe a comfort movie, I think, is my favorite. It's not your favorite movie, but there's a comfort movie. My wife has a comfort movie. It's not necessarily her favorite movie, but her comfort movie is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action. It's just one of those movies that you throw on, you enjoy it, and then you go about your life. Do you have? So let's figure that out as a threesome here. Oh goodness! Quickly, say a movie quickly. Say a movie quickly, please.
I don't know, like the comfort,
comfort or like current favorite or both.
because I think you're thinking current favorite, something that's come out within the last 6
Or
months.
something that even if it's an older movie, but I saw it recently, I'm like, ooh, I really liked.
Surprise me.
What do you got?
Surprise me.
Can I give you two? I'm going to give you two.
Love
I'm
it.
gonna give you two. So I recently watched The Heroic Trio, which is from Hong Kong, from like I want to say the late 80s or early 90s, part of the Michelle Yeoh collection on the Criterion Channel,
Mhm.
and it is insane. That movie's awesome. Everybody should check it out. It's an over-the-top action movie. They're superheroes, but like I don't think they actually are. They are just very good at kung fu. At one point, they try to save a baby and are unsuccessful. It's awesome, but it's a comedy. The tone is all over the place. I cannot recommend it enough.
Sounds like a Stephen Chow movie.
Oh, it's bonkers. But it's not that. It's not as whimsical as as some of his stuff, which I also enjoy. it feels like they tried to be a little more grounded, like on par with like say a Jackie Chan movie, but then like also baby stuff. And they like at one point have to like blow up a bunch of children, and it's like, well, they can't be saved, and they just carry on with their day.
Next scene.
Like, wonderful. But I also recently was at TIFF, as we've been discussing on our podcast, and Nicole Kidman's Baby Girl from the director of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I think this is coming out probably end of October, beginning of November. Phenomenal. If you like 90s erotic thrillers, see this movie.
I would say for me this year, I didn't go to TIFF. I wasn't invited to any TIFF movies with my cool TIFF.
Don't feel
friend.
bad.
It's a public festival.
I mean,
You can go.
but I think the movie I saw this year, I would say, is Civil War,
Yeah,
which just
I really wanted to see that.
it stuck with me for a while, and I really liked how they didn't really say who was fighting who and or why. It was just, this is what's happening. So I would say this year, and then weirdly enough, like a comfort movie for me, like is the opposite of comfort, but just a nice Zodiac.
What?
Listen, if your wife can sit down and watch the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and feel okay about herself, I feel okay watching Zodiac.
Some of the murders in Zodiac are like really upsetting.
Yeah, it's some stabbing.
And it's long, and there's
Yeah,
so much
But
talking.
it's a good movie that you can put on, and if I fall asleep and I wake back up, because I know they're not going to solve it anyway.
Don't they a little?
You kind of
Don't they
think
kind of? I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't.
that it's
This 25-year-old movie.
that is John Carroll Lynch.
That's
Yeah,
John Carroll Lynch.
yeah. So I just kind of like it, and then I can wake up and go, oh, this is part. And the performances are great.
I'll
Everyone's
give you
great.
that. Yes.
Everyone's great.
Yeah, I do agree. It's a great. It is, the acting in that movie is really good. That's a David Fincher movie, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that theatrically also in Coburg, in the small town that I grew up in, and I dragged a friend of mine to it. And I'm like, we'll grab dinner after. It's gonna be like an hour and a half. It's 3 hours long.
Yeah, that's terrible on both fronts because Zodiac is long and slow. And I'm sorry. I am sorry about that.
I mean, I didn't say Barry Lyndon or something like that, did I? Which every other movie snob says is their favorite movie.
It's nobody's favorite movie.
So go online and
No,
you.
everybody says it.
Everybody says it. There's like, even like I think like Jenna Ortega is like, oh, my favorite movie is Barry Lyndon. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no one,
nobody likes
Any
this
movie
movie.
where it's like claim to fame is like it was all lit by candles. I'm like, I'm out. That's a pass.
But that's on the
Hereditary?
IMDb 250, and I was like, I am not getting to this one anytime soon.
So that one's high on the list too.
It's
I
pretty
think
high
like
up,
25
yeah.
or something like that. So with the podcast, the Deep Cuts the Game podcast, I didn't do the semicolon joke this time. It's all audio. Is there plans for it specifically to be video?
I mean,
With this host? Sorry.
that's right. Somebody texted me the other day, and they're like, tell Alex to stop wearing his hat backwards. I'm like, Alex doesn't wear a hat. That's just his stupid haircut. And somebody did ask, though. I'm not making it up.
That's all.
And he's like, oh, I'm just watching on my phone. I can't. There is a possibility. I think the only concern would be that some guests may not be up for that. Because we have that capability, and when you joined us, we could record video with you. But I don't think our big guest at that time was really up for being
Fair enough,
on
yeah.
camera that day. We have done some smaller features, the flash frames that are like 6-7 minutes long, and it's usually just friends who are much more open to being on camera. But yeah, so we can. It's also the idea of having to then edit it down,
Gotcha.
which I'm sure you're
Yeah.
working on this thing. It can be a bear sometimes,
Yes.
right? Where
Especially
you're,
with 4 people, 4 audio streams, and
and then I'm trying
a
to
lot of
like
nothing.
I'm trying to add extra flair, like, hey, the person said James Franco, bing, a picture of James. So it's just a lot of extra work for me and for a job that I right now get paid $0.
Fair enough. I know the feeling.
Yes, so
I know the feeling.
it's there, but not yet.
I look forward to it.
Those
I
Star
think
Wipes
it's-
don't wipe themselves.
No, they don't. And,
George Lucas is calling.
and Alex doesn't go Star Wipe.
Star Wipe. I got to get some Star
Yeah.
Wipes for this episode. Stick around, guys. Because thank you very much for coming in on this segment, because we have more coming up in this show. And on the next segment, we are going to be playing a game of flash frames. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Awesome. Weird. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. I'm your host, Jordan Middlebrook. It's like a full gamut of people jammed into this scene, frame, into the frame. Don't worry, I'll edit it. I'll make it look super nice. On this segment, we are going to be playing a game called Flash Frames, and Jeff Penn, host of Deep Cuts, the game, the podcast, is going to explain what Flash Frames is, and then we're going to go straight into it.
Okay, so without comparing it to a real TV show, just in case anyone's like, hey, you're just stealing from this other TV show, Flash Frames is as many competitors as you want. Usually we play with 2 or 3, so this works out nice. 60 seconds on the clock. One by one, I give you the name of a movie and the year that movie came out, and you try to give me your most random, obscure person from that movie.
Just one.
Just one. Don't, like we had a friend, I gave him Everything Everywhere All at Once, and he was like, the guy from Indiana Jones, Michelle, and I was like, you just need one. So just don't overthink it. You got 10 seconds for every movie, so just take your time.
Oh, okay.
And honestly, just putting names on paper gets you points.
Awesome.
So, if you don't know the movie, don't have a guess, you can say skip, pass, come back to it. I notice Alex does that a lot. And then he comes back the next time, he's like, he's got it. Because I think that reptile lizard part of your brain keeps working in the back.
Yep.
And when you come back to it 20 seconds later, it's like, this is who you wanted to say. So,
James Hong, gotcha.
Exactly. James Hong.
Was my pull for that.
Oh, was it?
It was James Hong, yes. Who was also in one of the other movies we had that day.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
R.I.P.D.
James Hong. Oh, yes.
Because he is the avatar for, I think, Ryan Reynolds.
I just remember him being in it. Oh, yeah, and he goes, I'm an old Asian dude.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's James.
I remember that terrible movie. Okay, so yeah. So
Jordan, whenever you're ready, you let me know. I'll give you the name of the movie, the year it came out. And I will say this. I picked 6 movies that have either something to do with comic books. Maybe they were based on one. They're not necessarily a superhero movie.
Okay.
Or have something to do with a podcast. That's the only other thing I can think of.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so if you're ready.
Joe Rogan. No. Okay. No.
Okay. 2001, Ghost World.
Oh my goodness. It's a movie I haven't seen. What's that kid's name? Michael Cera?
2005, A History of Violence.
Oh, Ed Harris.
2012's Dread.
Carl Urban.
2003's American Splendor.
Oh, dang it. What's that guy's name? Paul Giamatti?
2010's Super.
Oh, is that Jesse Eisenberg? Nope, I'm thinking Rainn Wilson.
Okay. 2014's Tusk.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Haley Joel Osment.
And that's everything. You got all of them. You got 5 of the 6.
Teen angsty movie.
I will tell you, Michael Cera is not in Ghost World.
Yeah, that's that one. I'm thinking of that stupid movie with, what's his name now? The movie. Oh, Jason Bateman. I can't remember the name.
Oh, Hancock.
Nope. I'm thinking of the one, Juno. That's what I'm thinking.
Juno,
That's what I'm
yes.
thinking
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what that was. Yeah, his guitar.
Our spirits?
Okay, I had an angle so I can't see.
Okay,
I can see your sheets. But
All right, so Jordan got 5 of the 6 movies he got a person. So that's where you're
don't
sitting.
tell me his score, but he got.
Yeah, don't worry. I won't. Okay, so Alex, name of the movie, the year, start the clock. 2001's Ghost World.
Super Show.
A History of Violence from 2005.
Pass.
Dread from 2012.
Lena Headey.
American Splendor from 2003.
Didn't see that movie. Pass.
2010's Super.
Nathan Fillion.
Tusk from 2014.
Three guys. That's not going to get me anywhere. Let's say Jason Mewes.
A History of Violence from 2005.
T.O.E.O.
And then American Splendor.
Patrick Wilson? Is that a Patrick Wilson movie?
Okay. Sorry. That was really good and bad at the same time. I'll give you the points after. But,
Yeah, okay.
I guess we're ready for Omar. If that helps. It won't help you.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help. All right, so I'm going to give you the name of the movie and the year, and then I'll start the timer. 2001's Ghost World.
Trying to think of
That's fine. A History of Violence from 2005.
John Hurt? No. John Hurt, Bill Hurt, I can't remember.
Dread from 2012.
What's her name? She was in Juno.
Yep.
The friend.
American Splendor 2003.
Pass, I haven't seen that one.
Super from 2010.
Ellen Page, because Brain Wilson's the first thing that comes to mind.
Tusk from 2014. All right, and that's all of them. Well done. All right. So it's weird because there's three of you, and I got to kind of do this as we do. So Ghost World, you both said Steve Buscemi. You said Michael Cera,
Yeah.
who's not in the movie.
Yeah.
We talked about Ileana Douglas earlier. She was in that movie, so that would have been a nice deep cut. Everyone's favorite, Bob Balaban. History of Violence. You said John Hurt. I'm going to give you the points for William Hurt.
That's what
You
it
could
is.
say, or Bill Hurt.
Yeah, or Bill Hurt.
Yeah, so that puts you at 8. Alex is at 3. You said Ed Harris, so that puts you at 4. Alex, you said Tia Leone.
Yeah.
It's Maria Bello. So
That's 0 points.
that's 0 points. So it's 8-4-3 with Omar in the lead.
Awesome.
Dread. Carl Urban for 1 point. Olivia Thirlby is the girl from Juno for 5 points.
Well done.
You had 13. And Alex, you said Lena Headey for 3 points. That puts you at 7. So it's 13-7-4.
Oh, I'm the host. You couldn't have fudged anything?
American Splendor. Paul Giamatti. 1 point.
I couldn't remember if
You
that...
did better than both of us.
I mean, yeah, because did anyone say anything else there?
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. Yeah, he's not in that movie. Super. Rainn Wilson. That gets you another point.
1 point.
Elliot Page or Ellen Page, 2 points. Puts you at 15. Alex comes in big with the Nathan Fillion small part.
An Avenger.
That's right.
So that puts Alex at 17. You're at 6. And I think we said you were at 15. So it's close. And then the last one is Tusk. Haley Joel Osment for you.
That's a good pull.
It's 11. And what did you said
Jason Mewes.
is not in it.
Too bad.
You could have gotten points for Scott Mosier, Johnny Depp. For 6 points, put you at 21, 17, 11. Omar, who was so
That
afraid
was a good race.
that he wasn't. I know. I blew it out. That's the movie. I was driving up with Alex, and I was like, I just watched a movie last night for this. So I wanted to make sure I knew who everyone was in it. And I was like, I kind of had to watch most of it in like fast forward because I didn't really care for
It's a great movie.
the human centipede, Tusk
Body horror.
body horror. Yeah. But yeah, Johnny Depp. I was like, that's Johnny Depp, right? Because he's wearing a lot of makeup. Lily Rose Depp, and then just anytime Kevin Smith does a movie, you can just pick like his wife is going to be in it. So Jennifer,
Jen Schwelbach.
yes. Well done, Omar. Congratulations. There's no prize.
I love a no prize.
Yes.
Well, thank you again, gentlemen, for coming in today. Jeff Penn, Alex Young, for talking about one of my favorite podcasts, something
Thank
that
you.
I have just recently found in 2024, and I'm very excited to listen to it every Sunday so far. I'm very excited to, I have been excited to be a part of it in the past, and I'm very excited that we have now met face to face in real life, IRL, as the kids are saying these days. And I hope to hear more, and I hope to see more of you two gentlemen in the future.
We'd love that, Jordan. We'd love to have you back
Awesome.
on.
Awesome.
You're a great guest, and you're a great host.
Oh,
So,
thank you very much. Well, thanks again, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I am the editing master. Stick around because we have a little bit more left in this episode, so don't go anywhere. That's it. Welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. I am your host, Jordan Middlebrook, and I keep saying over and over again, usually when I'm sitting here, I'm not in the middle, and there's a vacant spot beside me, you never know what's going to happen, but you do know what's going to happen because this is a special Omar recommends, that's right. But when Omar comes in today to recommend something, I'm going to stop him from talking, and I'm going to recommend something to him. So Omar is around here somewhere. Omar, you got something to recommend?
We always have things to recommend.
You know what? I'm not going to put the thing up just yet. I'll do it in a second because I have something to recommend to you.
All right.
Omar.
Hello, Jordan.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
I'm okay, and you?
I'm good. I'm underwhelmed by your choice of attire today.
Underwhelmed?
I'm a little underwhelmed.
It's got sea shanties on it.
I expect kind of like this rave energy coming from your shirts.
So I don't know what's happening here. My sister just pointed at me off camera. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, Omar, look,
Oh, there we go.
it's on my. All the fun is on my socks. Drink it in, Omar.
Feetfinder.com/bythewayside. You can get the uncovered version of that.
There we go. We're gonna get some stickers. We're gonna get them on
Yeah.
some drawn. What do you call those sketch covers? Jordan's feet, baby. Omar, this is the Jordan recommends portion of the Omar recommends section, and I want to recommend to you a horror movie by Peter Jackson.
A horror movie by Peter Jackson.
Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this horror movie from Peter Jackson.
I have seen this horror movie by Peter Jackson.
So Michael J. Fox is the lead. Chi McBride. Wait, is it Chi or Shy? I've always said Chi McBride.
I'd probably say the same.
Okay. So he's also in it. There's another guy that I always thought was Ted Raimi, but it's not Ted Raimi. And Jake Busey's in it. Jake Busey's he's an awesome actor. So this movie is about a guy who starts seeing ghosts and then has to and he sees death, and death is coming in and killing ghosts and people. So now he has to solve the mystery of why people are dying from this ghost that looks like death. And it turns out to be Jake Busey, who is an amazing actor.
Plays the Reaper.
Yes.
Yes.
But he's a ghost dressed as a Reaper.
Yes.
Which is such a really cool twist when you kind of get
Well,
to
I
the
remember
end.
when this movie came out, it was talking about the Frighteners effect.
What's the Frighteners effect?
That particular, the way
Oh,
things would move through the
The
walls.
morphings,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
weird morphing thing. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's kind of cool. This is a
Even
great
though-
movie.
Even though, as you talked about before, because you were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, they did it first with the
The first
the wall
movie,
thing.
yes. But they did it with a fake wall.
yes,
Like they did
it's like a blanket.
like a real plastic
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
I know.
Omar, I'm just gonna
something.
I'm gonna recommend
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, to you. It's an amazing movie.
I'm
You
gonna
should watch
hijack
it.
your Peter Jackson recommends here for a
Okay,
minute.
I'm all
I'm
ears.
gonna go obscure Peter Jackson, so I'm gonna recommend two movies too.
Oh, he's got movies too.
Yeah, I got Bad Taste. This is Peter Jackson's first film. This is a love letter to filmmaking. This movie took 6 years to make, to kill off characters in this movie as they could no longer work on the film. Yeah, I think, it's unbelievable. And Peter Jackson plays the main character and the main alien. In fact, the reason why the aliens have a slightly bent skull is because Peter Jackson did all the effects. And when he had to push the masks into his oven, it would bend the masks a little bit.
Oh, that's funny.
We got that, and then we have a shop staple and a shop favorite, because you love the Muppets so much.
I love the Muppets.
Meet the Feebles, which recently we found out is canon Muppets. They actually bring this movie up in the Muppets universe. And
What?
this is canon Muppets now. But Peter Jackson's second movie ever is the Muppets on acid, essentially,
That's cool.
and Meet the Feebles. And fun fact about this movie, in the final big set piece of this film, they were shooting real ammunition because they couldn't find blanks for the gun that they had chosen. It is wild.
I've never seen Meet the Feebles. I believe I've seen Bad Taste, but Brain Dead
Brain Dead.
is a really fun and gory Peter Jackson horror movie.
I'm trying to find that one to add to the collection at the shop.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. Thank you. So usually on Omar Recommends, we recommend a comic book.
Yes.
I'm really happy that we did the movie thing, but I bring out the staple,
The stand of recommendation.
the Stand of Destiny.
Okay.
What are you recommending today, Omar?
So we went kind of silly horror, but I'm going for very deep, meaningful, emotional literature here. So I'm talking about May's book by Jeff Lemire. This is probably my favorite Jeff Lemire book that he's done. I'm going to give you like the basic pitch for the book, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. But essentially, like a lonely building inspector, kind of city planner. His family's broken up. He's lost his daughter, and he gets a phone call one night, and he's forgetting kind of bits of memory. And he's like forgetting what she looks like, as it's been like 11 years since she's died. And one day he gets a phone call from her in the middle of the night, and he goes on this kind of quest through the city, through Toronto actually, to find his daughter, who he thinks is leaving clues for him throughout the city. As he finds, like, through the schematics and everything, he keeps finding these mazes within the city, and he's following this thread that shows up that's kind of guiding him. But yeah, it's this kind of beautiful, haunting journey about loss and our memories and what makes us live a little bit, like the things that we live for. And at one point he just says, like, there's one line that really got me early on when he's like, I am just routine. Like, after he loses his daughter, kind of like cuts to like 11 years later, he's just kind of going about his day. But like every day he does, Jeff Lemire draws this in a beautiful way. And it's like that kind of consistent, like, he doesn't do anything different. Like, he's just existing. And then he gets this phone call, and then like this real like magical realism element to the book starts popping up. There's a lot of like bits from like Theseus and the Minotaur as he's kind of navigating the maze, and he's trying to find his daughter. And yeah, it's super tragic, but it's also very affirming, kind of the way he's rebuilding himself
It's
a little bit
interesting.
and finding meaning in things. But yeah, it's very much a deeply psychological portrait of humanity, and I love this book very much. It's one of those that I wasn't expecting it to hit me as hard as it did. It actually hits me harder now that I have a kid, because the first time
Yeah.
I read this, I did not have a kid. And yeah, it's one of those things. And there's a moment at the end, the last images that he draws, especially near the end of the book, are just they're gorgeous, and they will stick with you. But May's book, I don't want to get too much into it because there's a lot of little things in there that are very much worth discovering yourself and like having those emotional impacts. But it's very much like one man's journey through his mind in this magical, realistic world through Toronto, and finding these fragments of his daughter to piece that together.
Awesome.
And find her. But yeah, it's a gorgeous book. I can't say enough good things about it. Read it. Jeff has done a million great things. I think he's one of the best, most consistent comic book storytellers, graphic storytellers in the medium right now, when he's doing it himself or when he's working with somebody else. But there's a man full of stories, and yeah, this one in particular just hit me really, really hard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know that.
Sorry, one thing.
Oh, yes.
The book is also done beautifully. That's one thing. There's an unquantifiable thing when you're buying graphic novels or something, but like, yeah, the textures on this book, the way it feels. I think it's Dark Horse. Yeah, Dark Horse did a beautiful job with the printing of this book as well. So it's not just a joy to read; it's a joy to experience in its physical form.
When you talk about parenthood versus non-parenthood, it's interesting the way that your brain starts to take things differently once you have that. I was going to say that seed, but that the thing that you now covet and protect, like your
Oh,
child.
very much so. Yeah.
So books that you would have read and passed by and be like, wow, that's a great story, turns into like exactly what you said. It hits a lot closer to home because you now relate a little bit more to what that character is going through or potentially going through. And as a father myself, I know I can relate to you and empathize with you 100%. I'm going to check this book out. This sounds really good. I didn't know this book existed.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
I will definitely check
It doesn't
this out.
get enough love. Like, this is one of those. Again, it's one of those books that, like, Jeff stuff's always getting praised, and there's a lot of places to start. But this is one that's it's self-contained. It does what it needs to do, and like some of the imagery in there has stuck with me for a long time. I kind of experienced some of the things in this book in a weird way, so I'm like, it oddly like hits me super close to home. But yeah, it's definitely it's worth the journey that it is. And yeah, it's like talking about how things hit you when you're a parent, when you're not a parent. It's even things like watching movies that you've already seen, and there's like a scene that never hit you, and suddenly you're like, why am I getting misty-eyed?
Yep.
There's like something just hitting me on a different level, or a commercial or something.
Yeah, I agree.
That just destroys you. But a friend of mine, I remember when he had his kid, I think he had just gone to see the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, and the opening scene where like Chris Hemsworth as Kirk's dad is like, he's just like bawling. He says, he just like broke emotionally
Yes.
through the thing, and people are like, why are you crying? He's like, this is so much joy it's giving. It's like, it just
I'm a dad now. Leave me alone.
he just really connected on that level that he wouldn't have in the past. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. I think we talked about this at some point in another episode, but certain books hit you at different times, and there's a right time, maybe or a better time to read something when you have more experience in a thing, and it'll just catch you off guard. This is why it's always worth rereading some books. Sometimes it's like movies. Sometimes the hype gets you and you're like, I didn't enjoy that very much, but then you watch it again and you're like, that was a really good film.
Yep, I agree 100%. Well, Omar, thank you again for coming in and recommending. Thank you again for opening Wayside Comics so that we could record an episode. Stick around, because at the end of Omar Recommends, we always do the closing of the show, and Omar's going to sit in on that. So don't go anywhere. It's Omar heavy episode today.
Me heavy episode today.
Oh, stop with the knees. I'll figure out something. Where was I now? Because he threw me off talking about my knees. Welcome back. I know it's unusual for Omar to be here at the closing of the show, but that it'll all make sense in the end. I want to thank my guests, Alex and Jeff. Usually I would go the other way around, Jeff and Alex. Doesn't matter. They're both amazing dudes. who have some cool attitudes. I didn't expect
Dudes with cool attitudes.
dudes with cool attitudes. That's like us. We're what rhymes with beard?
Beard.
We're feared because of the beard. I don't get it.
Weird.
We're weird because of the beard. No, we're not weird because of that. We're sexy because of the beards.
Sexy doesn't rhyme with beard though.
In my head, it does.
Not well. Synonymous is different.
Synonymous.
Yeah.
If you want to find out more about the show, I want you to head to, of course, waysideshow.com, where you can find all of past episodes. I encourage you to follow the show on Instagram. That'll come up along the bottom. I know that you know that I am also a content creator, so this is where I plug the vacation.jordan, and I like to talk about stupid things in front of the camera. Also, Omar and myself were a part of an amazing publishing imprint that focuses on cinematic storytelling from inventive and innovative voices, people like you. That's Wayside Creative. If you're interested in that, I want you to head to waysidecreative.com. But I had Omar sit with me at the end of this because I wanted you to promote and / talk about what's happening at the end of October, the Wayside Creator Con, and go.
All right. So at the end of October, Sunday, October 27th from 10 to 6, we have Wayside Creator Con. It kind of aligns with our 1-year anniversary, which is why we wanted to do it around that time of being around. But yeah, essentially it's kind of our love letter to comics and the people who make them. It's a con that brings comic creators back to the forefront. Normally you go to a con and Artist Alley's kind of in the back. And, you know, these cons wouldn't exist without these people. Like really, like, the comics community's push forward the modern convention into what it is now. And yeah, we want to like kind of take it back to that a little bit and put them back at the forefront of the show. So this is, like I said, this is our love letter to comics and the people who make them. And we have a bunch of amazing creators who are joining us for this first year of Wayside Creator Con. It's going to be at Market Brewing. So we're going to do it at a brewery. We were trying to take our shop experience, which it's a funny thing. People always tell me, like, oh, why don't you have a website yet or something like that? And it's always like, well, it's because you can't get the Wayside experience online. The whole point of the shop is to come and experience it.
Come here.
Come here, look at the comics, grab a beer, be part of the conversation, watch the movies. It really is more than just a shopping experience.
It's a community.
It very much so. Like we always say, we like to put the community in comics community. We like to emphasize that.
Wait a second. The comics in comic community?
The community in comics community. Did I say it backwards?
No, I did.
Yeah. Dyslexia.
Dumb.
But yeah, we want to do this con. Hopefully, this is kind of like our pilot run to do something bigger next year. But yeah, we have a bunch of amazing creators, amazing vendors, and it's going to be a good time. Like I said, we're doing it at Mark because we want to have that same experience. We're trying to go for a little more of a Eurocon vibe. We don't want to be like most cons in Canada feel a little bit the same, and we want to do something a little bit different. We want to do a convention where, you know, you can walk around with a drink, sit down with creators, talk to them, get to know them a bit more, find out about their process, find out about the movies they like, the music they listen to, really get to know them a bit more because they're people too. And it's one of those things I really want to encourage that. So you can really follow their work on a different level and really talk to them and not just kind of have that quickly. I don't know if you go to some cons, it's really busy and you're kind of bumping, right? And you're buying something and you feel like you have 30 seconds. No, we really want to encourage people to sit down and have that conversation and get to know people. And that's kind of what it's all about. Like I said, the community part of it.
It's bringing the outside community back into the comics community.
Yeah, the comics community honestly has been super nice to us. The local community has been amazing. A year ago when we were just an idea and we went to Fan Expo with a business card and a hat and, you know, we're trying to get people, everyone was super nice to us, super willing, super engaging, and that hasn't changed. And the nicest thing is, like, we went to Fan Expo this year and we know so many of these people now and we carry their books on our spinner, and it's really lovely. And people were so willing to donate their time to us for Wayside Creator Con, and it's been unbelievable so far. So hopefully we're still adding to the roster, but we do have about 50 creators and then about 10 to 15 vendors. The show is going to, again, focuses on comic books, so we're going to have a lot of good back issue things. We're going to do a big comic swap, so if you have your comics that you want to trade with creators and other people, we're going to do the comic swap. We're going to do art battles. We're going to have game demonstrations. It's going to be a good time. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. I will be there.
Yes.
By the Wayside will have its own table. So if anyone's interested, I'm going to be setting up a fun little thing where you potentially could be on an episode of By the Wayside. And now that we've done the Wayside Creator Con ad,
Oh,
talk
I should mention, sorry. there's
Here
one
we go.
thing. My brain just shut off. We do have two fun things that we're doing at Wayside Creator Con. One, we have our con exclusive for the show is a beer called Con Exclusive with a unique label from independent artist, Evolver Art, our good friend. And we also are doing sketch cover cans. So you can actually get a can that you can take around and get artists to draw on to have something a little bit different. You get a sketch cover, it kind of lives in a box. We want to do something that you can really put on the shelf and really pop for you. And something that you're not going to get anywhere else. Again, we're trying to go for a different type of experience.
There's a lot of thought that's gone into the Wayside Creator Con, and it's very original in how it's being pushed forward, taken care of, and I look forward to being a part of it, and I look forward to seeing absolutely every single one of you there. Any of the information is right in front of the screen. I want you to check it out. Of course, you can come to Wayside Comics in Newmarket, talk to Omar about some more information, tickets, and all of that. Find out more information. Come here. Just come here. Come to Wayside Comics because I love it. I want you to buy me a hot chocolate, put it on your tab. I'll come in, I'll drink the hot chocolate. Anyway, thank you for popping by for this episode of By the Wayside. Omar likes to say what?
Catch you by the wayside.
And I will say, I will also catch you by the wayside. And that's the end of the episode.